Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 88 of the Custom Apparel Startups podcast. My name is Mark Stevenson from ColDesi.
And this is Mark Vila with Coleman & Company. Very excited today to have new energy in the room.
And there's a lot of it. There's a lot of energy.
I take up a lot of energy here. I'm like a black hole sucking you guys in.
And we've got Deborah Corn, and she is the Intergalactic Ambassador to the Printerverse. Which is a fun name, a funny name. It gets attention. So we're just going to dive right into what that means and who you are. So Mark, tell us how it started.
So we got together with Deborah because I heard her on a podcast that had the plenipotentiary, that had the Emperor of SGIA on it. And it was great, and they sounded great, so I invited her on. We have been talking, and the name of this episode, by the way, is Women in Print, Intro to Girls Who Print. And we there was kind of a convergence here. I heard the podcast, and you are a woman that is in the printing world, and we've just had this whole series of customers recently doing success stories like, we just finished with Leanne from Sweet Teas.
Oh yeah, that was great.
We've got Ronnie Hovey that's going to be doing a success story for us, and just the women who print now in our customer base they're growing, and I think it's actually kind of a social movement in our industry that the demographic is changing. And I wanted to talk about that, and then you've got all kinds of fun stuff going on. So why don't you introduce yourself to our group here and tell us about Girls Who Print.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. Yep. Mark and Mark. It's easy for me to remember your
names.
As that Mark said, I am the Intergalactic Ambassador to the Printerverse. There's an extra syllable in that one.
Oh, okay.
And the Printerverse is a collection of really community-based initiatives. The first one is my website, which is printmediacenter.com. And through that channel, I provide information and resources to print marketing professionals. And I always like to caveat with a little fun in the mix because we like to keep it real. And there's a collection of writers who contribute to my site, and they are all currently working in roles in the printing industry. So we really are in the trenches with everybody else. Me, not so much because I'm not a printer and I don't work in a print shop,
right.
But my audience gives me access to places like this, and I get to see what's going on, and I kind of can give people a 30,000 foot view of it as far as, new opportunities. That's kind of what I really like to focus on, which is why I love the concept of your podcast, because you guys are helping people succeed with your equipment, and helping your customers is the only way that this is all going to work from now on.
So what's really cool is that when you say printers, you're not just talking about apparel printers.
Correct. I mean, all of the print service providers out there, regardless of if it's ink or something on something, and you're selling it to it. That's what I mean by that. But you're right, and that's such an important point that you just brought up, because as the Intergalactic Ambassador, which is what I've called myself, because I sit in the middle of about 150,000 people in the printing industry, between my site and my social channels and my LinkedIn group, Print Production Professionals, which is the #1 group in the world.
Awesome.
And there will be links in show notes.
Yes, sorry. But it gives me a unique perspective to see that people have the same goals, but it doesn't really seem like they're communicating with each other as effectively and efficiently as they can. For example, just assuming anybody in my world knows what DTG is a hugely bad assumption.
Yeah, got it.
Because even today, when I walked in here, and you said, "Here's our DTG thing," and I said, "Hold on,
what is that?" Yeah.
You're talking about direct to garment, right? Because I need to make sure, and to your point, to me, customers are the end users who would be buying the apparel, and to you, customers are the people buying your equipment. So, this is a perfect example of why these types of conversations are so important, because we can get everybody on the same page to let them know we all are trying to achieve the same thing. You're trying to help your customers, and I'm trying to help your customers help their customers.
Yeah,
so,
I love that.
As well as you are too, because I took a picture of your little mantra on the wall that your success is measured by your customers' success.
Yeah, and it's so important. It's just why we do this podcast, and we have blogs all over the place and articles written every day. All these things is because we sell ColDesi sells equipment and supplies. Right? If a printer is not making noise and printing, they're not using any supplies, and our customers don't come back. If our customers are not profitable, then they go out of business.
Right.
So it's really important that everyone listening to this, it's important. Our success is their success,
right.
and it's full circle. The better they do, the better we do, and the better we help, the better chance that they can succeed. So when somebody buys a DTG printer or a transfer printer or an embroidery machine, if we can help provide the tools to you, then you are more likely to succeed than if you bought one off of eBay, knew nothing, got no education, and next thing you know, 3 months later, it's collecting dust.
Yeah, and it's incredibly rewarding too, by the way.
Yeah.
You start somebody in business, and they've got a side hustle, right? They've got an Etsy store or something like that, and they want to take it to the next level. And we get to help with that, so that's really exciting.
I mean, this is like the perfect. I want to be a maker. Okay, make.
Yeah.
Look how simple this is. I mean, and I'm not trying to, really read it down to, this is printing for dummies. It's not. There's certainly technology behind it.
Right.
I toured your warehouse. I toured your technicians tooling with stuff back there. This is technology, but I can do it, which is a good measurement of how simple it is.
Gotcha.
Because I'm not really a printer. I'm a print customer, so I sit back and I'm like, I don't care how you do it. Just give it to me when I need it, and for what you said you were going to charge me.
So that's a good point. So you started your journey here in the Printerverse as a customer.
Correct.
So talk to us a little bit about that transition.
Thank you for asking. It's kind of an interesting story. I had worked in advertising agencies and in-house marketing departments of brands and corporations for over 25 years in New York City. And I had, without, bringing this down, after September 11th, there was, a lot of consolidation in the advertising industry, and it was very difficult for people in production, especially because there's usually like 40 people in production, in the big agencies, and they're scattered around, and they can really consolidate that when they want to, and they did. And I was a director of production, so it's not many of those running around. So I took a job in Florida, and then, this is not a sad story. It has a happy ending, I promise you.
Got it.
I took a job in Florida. I worked there for a couple of years, and then the recession hit in 2008, and I lost my job. So I was networking with people I knew to find work, and that ended pretty, 6 months. So, I was before I heard back from everybody, and I was like, all right, need to think of something else new to do here. And LinkedIn had just opened up groups. So I said, all right, let me start a group, and I'll invite people who I think could help me get a job.
Yeah.
Other print customers, creative people, creative managers, they call them in advertising agencies, printers, traditional commercial printers, because they love getting people in advertising agencies jobs, so we could be friends. Not that there's anything illegal or inappropriate going on, but it's still
networking.
Loyalty that you do not. Look, I can't print with you, but I'm sending everybody I know your way. Whatever it might be. Everybody is fond of people who help them find work.
Sure.
And as an aside, I just throw in, and headhunters can come too. And the group actually took on its own life because there were humans in it with free will who were making decisions. Like, I don't know that Deborah Corn started this group to find a job. All I know is that there are people in here who can actually help me. And they started asking each other questions. Does anybody know what this type of binding is called? Does anybody know where I can find someone who can print on styrofoam? Does anybody know why this is not coming out the way I want it to come out? Questions like that. And they just started interacting with each other, and it really took on a life of its own till one of the members, who was from an advertising agency, referred her friend to come to ask a question by saying, you need to join this group. It's like having 500 expert colleagues down the hall. And that was perfect. Like kind of my aha moment that, okay, I know I started this group with a different intention, but something's happening here. I'm in the middle of it, and I'm just going to go with it.
Yeah.
So for like 3 years, I described myself as a professional networker.
Nice.
Which, by the way,
I like it.
No, this was not something that was a job. You know,
right.
I'm making it up as I go along.
Yeah.
Social media had just started to kick off in a way that it was becoming a viable marketing channel for businesses, and I was sort of in the ground floor of that too. And I just kept saying, I'm not really sure what this is, but I'm going to keep going with it and see what happens. And what happened was that it turned into the world's #1 group for print. There's over 95,000 people in it. I've personally approved, thrown out every single member in that group. I've approved or deleted every single conversation. There's no other managers. It's me. It's what I say goes.
That is a full-time gig.
No
right
solicitations, but that's why.
Yeah.
It's not a place to go for, look at me.
Yeah.
It's a place to go with, you asked a question and here's how I can contribute to that answer. And yes, of course, I also do it, but I don't need to lead with that.
Yeah.
So really, that is how I came to be. And sitting in the middle of all these people, I do need to say that after the print custom, after about 5,000 people jumped in there, what I refer to as the customers.
Yep.
Obviously, the printers were telling the manufacturers, "Oh, I'm in this group," and they were like, "What?" And they all jumped in.
Yep.
And as soon as they jumped in and told all their salespeople to get in there, the paper companies came, and the project management software, and the workflow. So I have everybody from literally janitorial supplies for print shop to the highest end 3D printer in the world is in this group, and that's why I called it the Printerverse, because it encompassed everybody. And I specifically did not call myself the supreme leader of the Printerverse. I didn't want to be the intergalactic empress of the Printerverse. I am the ambassador, because what do I know? I'm a print customer.
Right.
I just know, there are things that I now have access to that really the end users don't know anything about. And if we need to move this needle on, how do we keep print relevant in, people's marketing and branding worlds? I'm not saying in the world in general, because I don't subscribe to that conversation, nor will I have it. Okay. Like if anyone says, is print relevant, is print dead? I'm like, no, you're dead having that conversation. Like if you're asking that question, it's actually more about you than it is about the media. Yeah. Because the medium is not going anywhere. And if you have an effective and efficient way to communicate a message, that message can be anywhere and it will work. Yeah. The difference between junk mail and marketing mail is the message to the person who receives it. So don't blame the transfer device.
The media is not the issue.
Blame the offer, or let's get a grip on this thing. Right. But so that's kind of how I came to be, and sitting in this spot did give me a unique perspective to see that there was a lot of disconnects between what print service providers actually cared about today versus like what manufacturers were trying to get them to care about to sell equipment, as they should. Yeah. If you want somebody to buy something, you have to make a case for it. But that case might be a little too far forward for them. So I kind of also am able to help these people get information by going back to the manufacturers now, because I have access to them and saying, on any day, like my LinkedIn inbox is really an adventure. And, when I click into it, I never know what I'm going to find. Sometimes there's just requests like, I need to find printers in Belarus. And I'm like, oh, good one. Like here's a challenge today. Challenge. I mean, there are major global brands who I will not mention that contact me to help them find printers because they don't want to reach out to them, because they don't want to get into, like, this is not them, but let's just say it's Microsoft. It is not Microsoft.
Yeah.
Okay.
But let's just pretend it is.
Sure.
That will give you a perspective. Microsoft doesn't want to call a printer. Is Microsoft ever getting off that printer's call list? What do you got, Microsoft? What can I print for you? What do you got today?
it.
So they don't do it. I don't make money from it. I don't take a commission.
Connected.
I don't work with these printers, and I always, preface it by saying, you ask me for specific capabilities, and I'm telling you that these printers have them. You have to make your own decisions about this. I'm not involved. Don't come back and talk to me about it. And I'm not a print broker. I don't take money for any of that. And people offer it to me all the time, by the way, and I'm like, hell no, I'm not your print broker. But that's...
All right, I'll keep my wallet in my pocket.
Yeah. So it's a long answer to your question.
No.
But,
So for the people that are listening to the CAS podcast, what you just said in there is great, because what you're doing is you're bridging the gap between the language that the customer speaks and the message that the manufacturers want to deliver.
And also what they think they care about, like maybe, there is kind of a little misguided belief that, for example, with digital printing, that, I have a digital press and now I can print 5,000 versions, all unique. Great. Find a print customer who wants to print 5,000 unique versions of anything and manage that and deal with the data. The big brands might. And the funny thing is that most of the time when that is actually happening, the consumers don't know. They just get a thing in the mail that happens to be very relevant to them, but they don't understand how that's happening, and I'm not saying that they do, but there's still a disconnect.
No, I get it.
So what I go back to the manufacturers or the printers who have invested in this equipment is, don't lead with this variable data conversation. Lead with versioning. Lead with quicker, faster, more time for you to do your work. Slowly introduce, hey, did you know we could have done 4 different versions? Don't try to do 5. Don't try to get them on 5,000. Start off with 2. And nobody wants to do that.
And that's really a message for our customers too, because what I see when I look at some of their customer brochures and some of their websites is the first thing they talk about. We get customers that will buy a piece of equipment. One of the first things they ask for is, can you provide us with a clip art piece of the equipment? Can we put your logo on our site? Can we do things like that? And the answer is sure. Like, you're welcome to do that. Is it going to help them sell anything?
No,
the simple. Show me the hat.
The simple thing. And we say it all the time. And if this is your first episode, one of the best pieces of advice is you start your printing business. Is you get we say, wear what you do. So 100%. Embroider a shirt, print a shirt. I've got print, you've got embroidery. Print a shirt, go out and show some people some samples, go talk to them, meet people. And then when they ask you the simple things, I can print shirts. Like, I can do all different types of materials, sure. You get into the conversation. Then you were mentioning the variable data. Then you can get into, would you like the employee's name on every shirt?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
that's because how you do it.
If you lead with that, how about this? We'll put the name here. We'll put a tag on the inside. We'll do which are all great ideas.
Correct.
Then each shirt like this, a button up is going to be $65. And they're like, well, the last lady, it was $20.
100%.
And when you come out with, I can do this for $20. By the way, if we put the name on, that's another $5. I can custom tag them. That's another few bucks. And now all of a sudden they're getting excited. Hey, instead of doing the cheaper one, let's make it the wrinkle free. That's another $8. Now all of a sudden they're at 65 and they are stoked.
They're happy.
100%. I mean, that is such a great point. Everybody and salespeople are really bad at that. They smell an upsell. And they just go for it. The advertising agencies and movie theaters have a really good strategy about this. That if you notice next time you go to a movie theater and look at the prices of popcorn, I'm just making up prices of popcorn. A small popcorn is $6.
Yep.
A large popcorn is $8, but a medium popcorn is $6.50. Now I'm thinking to myself, why would I get a small for 50% less, but I don't want to pay the $2 for popcorn that I'll be eating for 6 weeks? Have you ever seen these buffets? It's crazy. But how can I possibly turn away all that extra popcorn for 50 cents? You cannot wrap your mind around it.
We've got a link right here to the Good, Better, Best podcast that we did just recently.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then the advertising agencies have a great strategy where you show the client exactly what they ask for, just so you get that out of the way.
Yeah.
You show them something they will never do under any circumstances, so they can say no to something.
Yeah.
And then you put the one that you really want them to do. So, using your example, which was really cool, I would, and if it's cost effective, I would literally show the customer the 3 versions that you just said.
Yeah.
Here's exactly what you asked with just your logo over it. Here it is with the logo and the name. And here it is in 17 colors. You know they're going to say no to that.
Yeah.
But chances are they're going to go for the medium popcorn.
Man, this is the conversation that we have with about screen printing all the time.
Yeah.
You know, screen printers are always asked, how do you get $25 for a shirt? How do you get $25? I print one.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do right now. I'm going to print one in full color. I don't care how many colors they have. Here it is. This one's $25. Yeah. I can also put your name on the back for an extra $5. I can also do, whatever you want to do.
I was in the mall. Actually, we didn't even talk about this. I was in the mall maybe 2 weeks ago, and I'm looking at the T-shirt stand that's in the mall. And he's got the heat press and all that stuff. So I'm just looking. I'm laughing at a couple. He had some funny shirts. And him and his wife, or I think it was his wife, they looked like they were married. But anyway, they come up. Yeah, they looked unhappy with rings.
The guy was like holding her purse and looked like he had been beaten to death. You know,
they're just like, oh, can we help you out with a shirt? They're really friendly, and I was like, no. I'm like, great job that you came up and introduced me. I'm just in the industry. I'm not going to buy anything. I make my own. But it reminded me, and I just said, how much is a shirt?
Yeah.
And he said, well, the one you're looking at is $25. And I was like, oh, do you do like names if I wanted? Yep. He's like, that's like 10. And he was naming some different things. And I did some math in my head. And I'm like, a couple of these shirts are like $40.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking at it. It's a cheap shirt. It's not like the quality of the garment is remarkable. It's just a run-of-the-mill shirt. But the thing is that you can get one exactly how you want. And they were printing shirts while this is happening, so they're busy.
Yeah.
So you can get the money for the shirt if it's worth it. If it's
and that goes back to the language about, you know, I may want to talk about the low cost per print and how big the prints are on my direct-to-garment printer, but what a customer needs to hear is, look at the size of this print and how beautiful this is, and we can also do this.
Yeah. Do you want it huge? Well, that's actually, it's great because the direct-to-garment printer, what's the size? 16 by 20?
16 and a half by 24.
So yes, huge, right? So you can, here's the T-shirt that you asked for, you know, like a logo your size.
Right.
So nice, regular size logo. Here's one I could do that's a little bigger, and then I could do on the back too. Here's the giant one. There's no way you're going to pay for it to be this wide and this big.
Right.
So then you can kind of upsell, and we talked to Mark. We had another Mark on here recently.
Yeah, Mark.
Well,
Mark
I guess I have
Contract
to change my
DTG
name.
Yeah.
Deborah Corn.
Yeah.
And he was mentioning how when he charges, he has a standard size, and when he goes bigger, because he does direct to garment, the cost is a lot more. When you go bigger, not a lot more, but for his customer, it's a lot more. And that's an upsell for him, is selling the larger print.
Yeah.
And it should be the same so if you own a DTG printer or a transfer printer especially, or an embroidery machine, as it gets bigger, it costs you a lot more. Compared to maybe screen printing, it might not be that big of a difference.
Right.
So you charge for that, upsell to that. You know, that's something that really you can
100%. And the only other thing I would say about that is that it's imperative that you show people samples of their own stuff. Don't show them samples of your stuff or my stuff because they don't get emotionally attached to that.
Yeah.
I'm not emotionally attached to your name of your logo on a shirt that you're showing me. But put my logo with my name and all of a sudden I'm like, ooh.
Oh, yeah.
wow, I could have my name on my shirt. I'm somebody.
And the takeaway: Did you want to buy this, or do you want me to throw it away?
So
Which one?
I actually have a great question about that, and it's something that I struggle even in my own head to answer this. So maybe you have a thought on it.
Okay, no pressure.
Right?
That's okay.
So
he never asks questions, though.
If I own a print business, a t-shirt print business, and my thought is what you just said. If I can get people emotionally attached to what the sample, then that will get them excited. They will be happy to see it. So now I got my keys and my coffee. I'm getting in my car, and I'm like, wait a minute, I should bring some samples. So what's the amount of work and effort and cost do you think putting into? When should you make that custom sample? Because right now I'm going to cold call, right? I'm just going to walk in, and a brand new donut shop just opened up, and you walk in, you see they're all just wearing just golf shirts. I can make you a shirt, when do you think is that point where should I talk to them first? Should I wow them right away? Should I put a bunch of money into just getting all samples for the big companies around? Or should I pre-qualify them first? I mean, I don't know. How would you do it?
What says the Printerverse?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's going to be a long tail answer,
yeah, sure.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I would say that your first mistake is getting into that car without understanding completely who your person is that you're going to talk to.
Okay.
Is this somebody? How old are they? I'm sorry, but that matters.
Yep.
If they are what we would like to call millennials and you don't have a sample, why are you even going to see them? If they're a business owner who more than likely is, let's say they're 60 or older, are they going to care about a sample? Not as much as they're going to care about the cost of that machine. But who else works in that company that you can give a sample to that you can use as your influencer?
Yeah.
So with that, I would also say that there are ways that you can honestly create commodity samples that are still relevant to customers that can get them emotionally attached. For example, we're coming over to visit you. Can you fill out this short survey, right? Do you like dogs? Do you like cats? Do you like blue? Do you like red? Do you like what's your favorite candy?
Interesting.
And then pull a dog off of a blue thing and bring them a cute puppy.
Okay.
It's not their puppy, but it could be if you say, send me a picture.
Right.
Which is such a better way of doing it.
Yeah.
You say to them, look, this is going to sound crazy, but send me a picture of your kid. Look, I don't know anybody who won't pay money for something with their kid's face on it or their pet's face on it. No, who won't?
Yeah.
So if you even just, hey, thanks for meeting with me. Here's your dog on a shirt, or your cat on a shirt, or your iguana, whatever it might be.
You could stalk them on social and pull a picture and print it. That would be a little creepy, though.
I don't necessarily think that that's creepy, but you have to know your audience.
Yeah.
A non-millennial might be like, what
are you talking about?
Right, it might be a little creepy, especially if it's someone's child. I'm just saying, like.
But if it's a public Instagram picture and they're a millennial, they might be excited. Wait, you found me on Instagram and saw that picture.
To even drill down more into this, right? What are they interested in? Like maybe you just see that they go fishing every weekend, so you put a prize fish on there. That's what you give them.
So maybe
it's not about what you're selling anymore. It's not about what you can do. It's about that you just made a human connection with somebody, and now you can have. It opens up the door to a conversation, in my opinion, on a completely different level.
Okay.
And it has to be authentic, though.
Yeah.
It can't just be I stalked you and pulled a picture off of Instagram. Like, what are they doing in all those pictures?
Yeah.
And then drill into that and let them see that. What that says to me as a customer is, wow, they understand me.
Yeah.
So you're saying, with your answer, the first step would be not cold calling wouldn't be your style of doing it. Your style would be find a way to build some relationships, and then
I'm saying that even if I'm cold calling, I'm not just dialing a number and saying, Acme Print Company, hi. I'm like may I speak to Peter, please?
Yeah.
Hey, Peter, by the
You
way,
do research ahead of time.
I'm not a salesperson. I learn all this stuff from people like Kelly Malazzi and Bill Farquharson and all the sales coaches out there. I know nothing about sales.
Right.
I consider myself a relationship facilitator.
Right.
So it's tied into sales, but it's the approach.
But I like it, and now that you lay it out, I've
You're
done,
totally
I've
stealing
done
it.
it. I've done it. No, I've done it. We had a big vendor that we were kind of courting at ColDesi come down a couple of years ago, and I looked him up everywhere. I found out he was very much into bowling, so I made sure that the bowling shirt sample embroidery that we have, was out front and center on the front of the rack, so we could start a conversation about bowling.
I would have put his team. I would have put his team.
I'm a little lazier than that.
Okay, just saying.
We had a music somebody who was in the music industry, and they were coming in for a sample. So I pulled up some art, and I got a music related art, and I had it ready to go. And then when they walked in, hey, how are you doing? I was just printing this shirt,
Just
and then all of a sudden they're just like, oh, and they're laughing, and like, well, I knew you were coming.
Right.
I thought this would be fun.
Got to be careful though, because we had a big trap artist that outfitted their whole merch department. So and not all of the lyrics are appropriate.
Oh.
That's funny. Another thing that's kind of a great way to get a foot in the door is there are constantly. Well, not constantly, but unless you're in a thriving city, but there are new businesses open.
Yep.
If you're the T-shirt person, welcome to the neighborhood. Here's a T-shirt with your logo on it. That's it.
I love that.
Just a welcome
It's
to
great.
and I can print 100 for you.
Yeah.
And we can also do aprons. Just let it be a gift, and then, God forbid, become a customer.
Yeah.
Why should everybody be your customer?
Yeah.
There's reciprocation here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do this thing called print rescue, where I go into like a retail space and say, okay, I can rescue this business with print. They just don't really know it. I can print a floor, I can print a wall, I can print the new menus, I can print retail stuff, I can print new uniforms.
Yeah.
They just don't know that I can do that.
Yeah.
Can I just walk in there and say, I want to make over your shop with print? They're going to look at me and say, no, thank you.
Yeah.
But
They're give you the thumb. Get out of
if
here.
I'm a customer of theirs and I'm, hey, how you doing? There's actually a place that I've been working on that place that sells gyros in my neighborhood, and I go in there, and every once in a while I go in there to have a sandwich.
Yeah.
And I talk to them. Am I being fake? No, because they don't have to talk to me back. I'm talking about things, but I'm working up the time to say,
by the way,
why are you don't, and they actually print signs off of their desktop printer and then highlight.
Oh, yeah. I've been in stores that do that. Yeah.
And that's their signage. And I've spoken to the guy a few times about it, and now he actually got a new sign, which I'm very excited about.
That's great.
But I put in the time to be willing to understand does this guy really care about the sign at the end of the day? He sees a line out the door, and he's like, what do I need a sign for? They're all in here buying my sandwiches.
Yeah.
Until the first person came up to him and said, we like your new sign.
Yeah.
Then he was hooked on
That's
it
great.
because he's like, it shows that he cares.
Yeah. That's actually a great point. And so in this, just kind of giving some takeaways I'm thinking of here and listening to you, and maybe some things some people listening here can take away. So there's a theme here in a lot of things you're saying about everything is the relationship building. You started your community that way. The people within the community love being there because of that. So something that I would say is if I'm starting a new t-shirt business or an embroidery business, one of the first things, and we've recommended this before, is start to get yourself out there to build some relationships. So we talk all the time, right?
Yep.
Join the Chamber of Commerce, the PTA
Totally.
or PTO.
Yeah.
If there's an event you can go to, meetup, like that meetup.com. There's if you like telescopes, go to the local, astronomy club meeting.
100%.
Go anywhere, meet people, say hi.
Yeah.
And then, can I follow you on social media? Do you do Instagram?
Yeah.
Build a little bit of a relationship, and then boom, one day you're going to see it's this couple that they're just announcing or saying that they're opening up a new little coffee shop, and you do that, and you say, hey, you already follow them on Instagram. You've been talking with them for a while.
Yeah.
You know that they love to go hiking. So you make them 2 hiking T-shirts that say,
and with a note, congratulations
awesome.
on your new venture.
Yeah.
On your new adventure.
Yeah.
Like you can
Yeah.
even make it, totally. We should, now I'm loving this.
But
I'm not really sure what you're adding
He's
to
the
the
smart one.
conversation.
He's the smart one, that's for sure.
But that's what's great, and that's what the key to. So there's plenty of approaches, because we've talked about the really cold call approach before, the one of like, listen, get in the car and just meet people, just walk in, and that is a way to do business, and you can. But the relationship one is, you might not get business tomorrow from it,
Right.
but as you do it over
1000%,
time,
yes.
you will. The cold calling way, you can get a T-shirt order tomorrow, but it's much harder, and it's more abrasive, and it requires a lot of a personality. It's hard.
Is it fair to say that it will also most likely be a one-off unless you develop a
It could
relationship with
be.
those
Yeah,
people?
yeah.
Yes,
it's the
absolutely.
intro.
So you
definitely the
you've
intro.
got, the relationship building is so key to longevity, and it makes business easy for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6 months, a year
I always
later.
define a sale when I speak at events or meetings and stuff as when a need and a relationship meet.
No, that's good.
And to your point about you should 100%. Chamber of Commerce is genius. Everybody should be doing that, but you can also do it from your home by following the people on social media.
Oh yeah.
That you want to do business with, and just sharing their stuff and commenting on it. Not great outfits, but I could do a better job. Like, nobody cares about that. Just congratulations on your new business. Wow, I'm down the block. I'll be over tomorrow to have a coffee, or send them something. I always tell the wide format printers, this new business, send them a banner, we're open banner. Put your little logo on the corner, but don't make a big deal about it or try to upsell or just give a gift, and people remember these things.
Absolutely. And it fits because we did a poll in the CAS Facebook group on where do most people get their business, and it's all through personal connections. It's all
word of
local
mouth,
business.
referrals.
Yeah.
And social media. I just did a presentation for AGFA, and HubSpot put out some amazing stats about sales for 2018.
Yeah.
And like 84, I don't remember them off the top of my head. I think I have them in my phone. I could pull them up later maybe, or you could post them. But like 84% of purchasing decisions are now through a referral. And something like 50 or 60% of those were because of content on social media that they see. So if you think about it, there's more than 80% chance that people are learning about your business without you even being there.
Yeah.
So the other end of this is to make sure your house is in order when people are going to come investigate you.
Yeah.
Like if your site is not mobile friendly, if you're not on social media and active on it, just being on it and then spewing stuff about yourself is not really cool.
Yeah.
People also, by the way, if you're a printer and you're doing business for a restaurant, why aren't you sharing everything they have and saying, "Oh, great customers have a special today," or
absolutely.
We love printing whatever. We love this best barbecue in the world, and we're happy because they always need new T-shirts. Whatever it is, like there could be cool ways.
I
of
like that.
doing
Like
it.
barbecue. My favorite part about this barbecue customer, or 2 favorite parts, is one is their pork is amazing.
Right.
2, they destroy their T-shirts, so they always need.
I
Right.
love that.
Thank you, right?
Yeah.
Or show them print barbecue stains on T-shirts and
Oh,
say
yeah.
That's a great
pre-approved
idea.
by the barbecue restaurant.
Yeah, that's great.
Like,
I like that.
Like this,
I actually like that a lot, of sharing your customer's social content, and just just share it and just give it away. They're not going to get anything for it. You're not asking it. Just do it.
Once they connect back with you, the handshake is complete.
Yeah.
You reach out your hand by sharing all this stuff, right? And they don't have to connect back with you, just like they don't have to pick up the phone when they see a number, and just like they can spam your email because they have no idea who you are. But if you're following them on social media for a couple of months and they recognize the company name, and then you send them an email. Oh, I know something about that. I've heard that before. Click. You win on that click.
Absolutely.
Whether or not they do anything else with that after is of course the ultimate point, but the click.
But it's not the point.
Not really, because I delete, I can't even tell you, I'm not exaggerating. I would say up to 200 things a day I delete or spam.
Yeah.
Mark as spam.
Yeah, and the same thing. It's because we're in a world where we're bombarded with so much that the social proof is important. So being on social media, sharing with people, shaking the hand, like that.
And I like the sharing customers thing, and this is really important for our listeners to think about, because there's a whole camp of people that have either been in business for a while, or maybe they're just not so current on social media. And I ran into it the other day during one of the success stories. I don't want to show who my customers are because somebody's going to take them away. Somebody's going to see that. And that's the point of building the relationship is, someone will always be able to sell something cheaper than you.
Right.
100% of the time, somebody can buy any of the equipment that you can see in this room for $1 less somewhere. But it's the relationship that is proof against that. It's your shield against those competitors trying to come in. So the more you share, the more confident that you are, the more you get reach back from your customers, the better off you're going to be.
Right. I mean, I have been known to say that if your competition doesn't know everything about you, everybody who works with you, and all your customers, they're not your competition. Yeah. So what do you care? All the people that you're afraid of, they already know everything about you. Right. Or they're not relevant. And if they are, to your point, I'm not leaving this person for $1 less if I'm not familiar with the process. As a print customer, my sanity is dependent upon the dependability of the vendors that I choose for the agency or the brand or the corporation. Yeah. And everybody is watching me to make sure my vendors deliver, because believe me, they blame me for every single person. Yeah. And they constantly, like to say, you're protecting the printers and you're not protecting us. And because they don't understand that there's actually two sides to every story. Like, okay, it's late, but don't forget that we changed the file 16 times. They don't want to know that. They don't want to know that part. They just want to know that they just say we missed the deadline. And it's like, well, you've been signing off on it for the past week, knowing that, this is going to affect the delivery date. But it's all about having those people on the other side that are there for you. And you can't understand that just through a cold call. There has to be more to it. But that doesn't mean I talked about my LinkedIn inbox. Just because I'm connected with you does not mean I'm your friend, does not mean I'm going to do things, does not mean that you can sell me something. I mean, the amount of irrelevant information I get. I work from my home. I don't need a server farm. Why are people, or an MIS system, or a printing press for that matter. I'm not a printer, but I have Print Media Center as my name, and I'm connected to people on LinkedIn, and they just feel that's an open invitation to send irrelevant information, which ruins it for the people that actually have relevant information. But those people usually start off by, really appreciate your contributions. I've just read this article. I thought it was really great. We come across this a lot of time in our business. And then they tell me their story. But they've tied it back to me. And I'm a human, so that matters to me.
I like that.
And I think that the message of relevant information is really important, and we talk about that when we talk about our customers starting their business and having a personality or a brand or whatever it is their business. So if they are selling to cheer, as an example we use a lot, because that's a big industry. So if you're selling to the cheer and cheerleading business.
Oh, I was
And
like,
you-
cheer, like
Yeah.
the laundry detergent. Like, so you did it again.
Cheer, the
You're like, you
laundry
thought I knew what
detergent.
I was talking you were
That's
talking
great.
about. I mean,
So-
I'm glad you guys out
Well,
there.
yeah, that's why I
Yeah.
switched the word a few
Right.
times. So it's like that spirit wear and cheer and cheerleading.
Spirit wear, I like
selling
spirit
that,
wear.
Yeah.
if you're selling to that community, it's important that, for one, if all of your logos and branding and look and samples are for that, and then a new attorney opens up and you go there and you ask them if you want to make some sort of custom apparel for them, and you're showing up with all this, it doesn't match.
Bling.
They're going to
Yeah.
look at you and just say, I don't know why you're here.
Right,
Yeah.
and most likely, like, please get that teenager skirt out of my office.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
And so as your brand grows and your business grows, and if your business has multiple personalities, like we
Different
serve
niches.
we serve different niches, then make sure that the way you speak or the samples that you deliver and the way you build the relationship, even so the intangible building of the relationship is if you're trying to deal with dentists and doctors, maybe you are a little bit more professional because they are used to receiving things that are very just white and corporate.
100%, yeah.
But then if you're also selling to local bars and restaurants and things like that, they're typically in the atmosphere of fun. If their restaurant is boring, then like you said, with just the sign being ugly,
But they also have different ultimate needs, right? So a restaurant or a bar is going to want to know about how many times you can wash the t-shirt before, because it's more dirty, or what sort of treatments can be put on it to be antibacterial or whatever else another person's problem might be. So to not specifically only speak to them about exactly what only they care about is a huge mistake.
Yeah.
Well, we can do all this stuff, but I only care about that much of it.
Yeah.
Why are you wasting my time for 40 minutes about a cheerleading outfit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A mortgage broker wants to know, can I dry clean this shirt?
Thank you. And how many times is it going to last?
And the bar is going to say, and what about, I know this is crazy, but we wear white shirts here. I know, don't tell me, but it's a brand
Can
thing.
I bleach
Can
it?
I bleach it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I almost guarantee you these are questions people ask over and over and over again. Now, this kind of really plays into generational marketing, right? True. So there are people of a demographic. I'm going to just say the Gen Xers, which I'm one of them.
Yep.
I like to touch stuff. I like to see it. It's also my print buyer thing. Unless it's in front of me, I don't believe anybody. I need to see it myself.
Yep.
But the millennials and below them, the Gen Zers, they kind of live their life platform based. So to all your customers out there, your website is the number one educational resource. So all the answers to the questions that these guys just talked about, the Marks just talked about, can this be bleached? Here's an FAQ about our t-shirts for restaurants.
Yeah.
Everything you ever want to know about a t-shirt for a restaurant is right here. Click in there. Now, as a customer, I think, wow, these people know a lot of stuff. I'm going to print with the experts.
Yeah.
And they're talking to me.
Yeah, they know a
Is
lot
that
of
a
stuff about
restaurant
me.
that
I'm a restaurant.
Yeah.
Look, they have a restaurant section. They must do a lot of that. And then show examples of the restaurants the different styles. Here's our small popcorn, our medium, and our large.
Yep.
Here's 3 examples of them. Here's a range. The millennials, and I'm sorry, millennials, I know you don't like being called millennials and lumped into a group because you're special.
Wait, it's like 30 minutes in, none of the millennials are listening.
Sorry, millennials. But they don't like to be locked into things.
Yeah.
They don't like to be told what to do. And that thrills me to death, quite frankly. What they like is give them the ingredients and step away and let them come up with stuff. And then guide them as an expert.
Lori Consolti
Okay.
had a great idea on the Facebook group. We were talking about apps or something on the group, and she uses an app that they use that is normally used to schedule appointments for hair salons. So she adapted it, and it says like, "Oh, your shirt is almost ready.
Right.
Here's a reminder that your artwork is done, and your shirt is due, and it's time for your pickup, and all these different things." And they just rearranged it for the t-shirt business.
Yeah. I mean,
and it's great.
Half the time, the reason why I was loyal to my vendors is because they removed the uncertainty and the fear from my life. And there is no worse purgatory than I sent the file in and I don't know if it's okay.
Yeah.
Because if it's not okay, and by the way, they never are, but no one ever tells you, if they're not okay and it can't move further down the chain, that's it. Everyone's stuck. It's a big problem.
Yeah.
So just that understanding and saying, we got you.
Yeah.
It's cool. Go on with your day. And you know what? If you want to check on the status, we have our own app for people who are more along this. I don't have my own app, but I want one.
Yeah.
I mean, so I get it. It's not an easy thing. But then I can check my own status. And that's kind of like really what Vista did. They made it that print is such a scary thing and you have to talk to people and you can only talk to them between 9 and 5 because that's when they work.
Yeah.
But no, not with Vista. You don't have to talk to anyone who's going to be condescending to you. You don't have to understand what it is. You can pick whatever you want, make your own little template, and guess what? You can do it whenever you want.
Yeah, and their terms for what the art needs to look like isn't I'm holding my foot up like 2 feet long.
Right.
Yes.
Where you go to some of these printers and their email signature is that long.
Yeah.
The person who owns a coffee shop has no idea what any of those words mean.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Now I'm a little upset because my email signature.
Don't.
I didn't see your email.
But it's different. Like it's just different things you can do in the Printerverse, like girls who print.
Yeah.
See how I tied that back?
Now tell us about that. Yeah, we should
Let's
go
go there.
into that.
Okay.
So what is Girls That Print?
Girls Who Print is a organization that was actually founded by Mary Beth Smith. Shout out to Mary Beth Smith.
Okay.
She again started a LinkedIn group just looking for other women out there in the industry to kind of discuss our experience, which is different than experience of men. Like I can't really understand your experience fully. I see it, but I don't live it. And but of course she's from Texas, so she's folksy. So she led everybody in the group, but it was about Girls Who Print. Yeah. And it grew, and I ended up working with her behind the scenes, and together we created Girls Who Print Day. Which is celebrated in my booth, which is called the Printerverse at the print shows in Chicago. And that turned into an annual leadership panel that we bring industry leaders together to talk about, issues and things that are relevant, mostly attracting and maintaining women in the industry.
Yeah. A
lot of them, I have the privilege of speaking at graphic communication programs in the colleges, and what I see are that they're filled with women, with girls, and with ladies, whatever you want to call them. But they don't all make it over to print, and the ones that do don't all stay there. So there is more to it than just people have to start talking more about the contributions that women actually make to the printing industry, which are pretty significant. I always like to point out that a woman runs the largest trade show in the world, Drupa. It's a woman doing it. So that's the top of the food chain right there. So let's stop with this kind of second-class citizen stuff, and let's really start celebrating what everyone's doing. So, Girls Who Print has grown to about 8,000 people in the group.
Okay.
That's a little over 6,000 people in the group, but with the other ancillary social channels, it's about 8 to 10,000 global community. Girls Who Print Day is now international, and this March, as a matter of fact, I'm starting a new initiative. Mary Beth Smith actually retired last year, so I've taken over along with. So I'm officially girl number one.
Okay,
I like to call myself the SGIC, the head girl in charge. And Kelly Malazzi, who is I mentioned her before. She has a company called Success in Print. She's a sales coach, and she is also an author, recent author. Yay, Kelly! And Bill Farquharson. She's girl number 2, and we're going to this March, to coincide with Women's History Month, we're launching Women's Print Herstory Month, like her story.
Yeah, that's great.
And we're going to use the hashtag Print her story, HER story, with a hashtag.
Sure.
And we're encouraging all of you out there to share your stories and tell us your stories. I mean, get in touch with me. We kind of alluded to the fact that you heard me on a podcast, but it's actually my own podcast.
Yeah.
It's called Podcast from the Printerverse.
Yeah.
And it is currently listened to in 111 countries, so you'll get some nice global exposure. And, we want to share the stories, what I call the fierce, fabulous females in the industry.
That's awesome.
It's not just a bunch of people in a corner, like, oh, how am I supposed to navigate that? No, we're all about empowerment. We are partnering with Printing Industries of America on a formal mentorship program and platform to match new people in the industry with seasoned pros.
Thank you for listening to that exciting and energetic interview with Deborah Corn from Print Media Center. We had a great time chatting with her. We hope you had a great time listening and you learned something new today. We did have an official goodbye where Deborah said goodbye and Mark Stevenson did his thing, but the last few minutes of audio, just something happened. I don't know, technical difficulty. So I'm just here to send you off and remind you of where to go. So if you want to learn more about anything Deborah had to say, you can start by visiting printmediacenter.com. So that's print media and then center spelled CENTR.com. You can also just go to the customapparelstartups.com. So customapparelstartups.com, go to episode with Deborah Corn there, 88, the one you're listening to. Go to the notes on that page and you'll see hashtags and links and all that information. So that's the best place to go. Further from that, if you are listening on iTunes or Stitcher, wherever you are, if you like the podcast, you think it's great, please go on, give us a review, 5 stars. If you're watching us on YouTube, leave some comments, participate with us. We're happy to. Also go to Facebook and go to our Facebook group, search for Custom Apparel Startups and add in. That's the best stuff you can do. And my name is Mark Vila. I'm with Coleman & Company. If you have not been to our website, Coleman & Company, that's COLMAN and company.com. We sell all types of supplies and equipment for the custom apparel industry. I'm going to recommend you go there and check it out. There's articles on there, there's videos on there, and there's tons of products to help you with your custom apparel business. Mark Stevenson with ColDesi, I'd recommend you to go check out ColDesi's website too. Even if you have before, even if it's been years and you own some equipment from us, check it out. There's always new stuff, new articles, information, success stories, things to inspire you, new equipment. So go to coldesi.com as well. So thank you very much for everything, and we're happy to have you as a listener. So this is Mark Vila from Coleman & Company. Mark Stevenson and Deborah say their goodbyes as well, but they're not here with me right now, so I get to say it today. Have a good business.